Eight of Cups family. Welcome to Eight of Cups Tarot and welcome to your short horoscope for Scorpio season. Happy November, guys. It's definitely a very intense month to say the least. Scorpio season is always intense. It just is. It's about the changing. It's about the transformation. It's about the new growth, which often entails the shedding and the letting go. I like to always remind people that when we look at the whole of a season, it's very much deeply connected to the seasons in the Northern Hemisphere. So to get a good idea of what Scorpio is about, you want to take a look at what's happening in nature right now. What is going on is there's a certain amount of death taking over our environment. Things are not thriving. There's a lot of beauty in death, which is why if you are lucky enough to be in the Northern Hemisphere, in more of the North American regions where the leaves begin to turn these beautiful colors and everything looks vibrant and beautiful and alive, and then things start to shed, the leaves fall off and we see the bare bones of what's going on. And that's what Scorpio season is. It's the shedding so that we could see the bare bones of things. Scorpio also represents the underworld, the swamp, and oftentimes during Scorpio season, we tend to find out information that was otherwise hidden from us. Now, that could be due to a million different things, from external circumstances, other people lying to you, other people manipulating the situations, or it could just be how you manipulate or, disempower yourself in some way. Scorpio represents kind of the investigator, and it also represents, in financial terms, a reconciliation. So it's a great time for assessment. Oftentimes you look at nature, again, going back to this nature, and we tend to see the animals that are getting ready for the winter months, getting ready for their hibernation, making sure they have enough food, making sure that, and this is kind of where we're at mentally as well. We're in the preparation for winter. A lot of us are assessing our finances in certain ways as well. And you'll see this play out absolutely this month as far as the economy goes. There's going to be a lot more questions coming up, and we're going to want to get to the bottom of stuff. Why does this work that way? Why is this happening? What does this mean? You'll probably, I often see, because Scorpio does rule an investigative and journalism kind of thing, you're going to see a lot of news stories come out that could be somewhat shocking, and it could really change the way that you look at things. And I've been telling everybody, I don't care what side you're on of the political game, or if you're just completely sick of it, there's no way we're not affected. And it's probably a good idea to pay attention to what's happening with a healthy amount of detachment. And the Jupiter in Aquarius is going to help us with that. We can't be so attached to outcomes. We know that with Jupiter moving through Aquarius, and we're definitely going to know that when Jupiter starts to move through Pisces, that this is not a time for attachments. It is a time of release and letting go and understanding where we are in the bigger picture of things. The saving grace is we're moving into Sagittarius season, and that's going to be a beautiful, hopeful, regenerative time if we put in the hard work now. So end of October, most of November is going to be really getting to the bottom of our shadow work. This is going to fall in a different part of all of our charts. So for some of us, we're getting to the bottom of where we are financially. What's holding us back? What's stopping us from making these transformations? There's going to be an emphasis on our need for freedom. Obviously, as you could say, things are playing out in the collective as a need for freedom. A lot of people are afraid that their rights are being stripped from them, and that Venus and Sag, and then as Mercury starts to move through Sag and the sun moves through Sag, there's going to be a bigger emphasis on our freedom. And we have to figure out what's holding us back before we figure out how to become free of it, right? We've got to get to the bottom of these stories that we tell ourselves. And the great thing about Scorpio is that it's so deeply psychological. This isn't about like the little stuff. It's about really getting to the bottom of things psychologically. It's about allowing ourselves to be vulnerable. Now, I always say that there's always two very drastically different ways that this energy can express itself. And the lower realm of Scorpio is to be super protective, very vindictive, very secretive and private, and doesn't really like vulnerability. But these are also the qualities that it requires in order to have that evolution. And we're all clearly on this path of evolution. So if we can't be vulnerable in our relationships, vulnerable in ourselves, if we can't take those risks, then the alternative to that is that things will simply stay the same. And the fixed signs oftentimes like things to stay the same, even if they're not comfortable. However, this month, we're going to get an idea of where that comes from within us. What is holding us back? What's keeping us from making these changes? What are those old habits or those old storylines we told ourselves? What's the fear? Really, the Scorpio season is what is the fear? And if you're doing or operating out of a place of fear, you can kind of expect to be cracked wide open in this area. You know, if we want or need certain things or people to behave a certain way or to stay the same and not allow these things to change and grow, then that's where we hold ourselves back as well. And this is a moment of breakthrough for that, as we have a new moon in Scorpio making an opposition to Uranus in the beginning of the month. This happens on the 4th, and this is a really big energy for these huge breakthroughs. A lot of us are going to figure out why we do the things we do and that we don't want to do them anymore. Now, even in terms of like our diet and our food, and what are we ingesting energetically is a super big part of the storyline this month. Now, I know I just said that we have to pay attention because Scorpio season is going to demand our attention to get to the bottom of these stories. Who do we believe? What do we believe? How's it going to affect us? How do we want to change? Of course. But there's also this energy of allowing the transformation to occur. Remember, there's things we have to let go of. So we have to take a good look at ourselves psychologically, how we do things, how we hold on to things. And we also have to reassess, where would we be? Would we be better off if we let some of these things go? Some of us, this is like cleaning out the closets, cleaning out the basement kind of stuff. Some of us, this is reassessing our finances. You know, there's this emphasis on that freedom, which means that we're going to want to shed some stuff so we could be freer. Sometimes fate has a way of taking care of this for you. You know, oftentimes I see in these transits, you know, you want to travel, you want to go all these different places, but you have like an elder pet at home. And these transits can come in and kind of end that storyline, not because you wanted it to end, of course, but because the universe says it's time. It's time for this phase to be over and this adventure to begin. It's not always easy. And oftentimes Scorpio energy can be painful, but it's about confronting and feeling the pain and then moving through it. It's about allowing things to end so we can create the new story. A lot of us collectively are having these stories play out in our careers and in our finances, for sure. This is going to be an overwhelming theme, especially as Venus starts to move into Capricorn. This is not a comfort level for Venus at all. Venus in Capricorn means that we've got to kind of hold back a little bit. We've got to, again, like I explained with the animals, what are they doing? They're making sure they have enough food for the long winter. And we have to pull back and make sure that we have enough resources to get us through the harder times. Some of us need our resources to be a form of faith. Some of us, it's actually quite literally financially. Some of us, it's support from other people. There's needs there's wants, and there's something in between here. And it's those necessary tools that we need to recreate this next transition phase. Guys, 2022, Jupiter moving into Pisces. It's a 6-year. This is a very spiritual time for everybody on the planet. And oftentimes that means that because we have to renew our faith, there might be external circumstances that are making you really lean on it at this time. Some of us are facing losing our jobs or our careers. Some of us are facing having to take our children out of school. These are all very real considerations that are going on for people at this time. And as you could see, that all of those options can create an energetic field within us of fear. We got to look that fear right in the face and say, well, what's the worst case scenario and how do I prepare for it? What can I do to strengthen my resolve and my faith when things aren't really going my way? And what do these things mean? What do these roadblocks mean? How do we change these things? The universe wants you to change. Eclipse season is when these things become necessary. It's when the universe sweeps in and makes the changes anyways. So it's a good time to confront your fears. It's a great time to get to the bottom of the hows and whys and the whats. It's a good time to look at what you see for the future and what are the changes you can make right now in order to move toward that path. If anybody is suffering depression, and again, there's so much Saturnian energy for the past year or so, really the past several years, that we could feel this culmination and we could say to ourselves, man, I just don't feel good. I feel achy. I feel tired all the time. I don't feel optimistic. Of course, we're embodying this energy, and we're also embodying the energy of those that we're surrounded with by the news that we're watching, by, just all the craziness that's happening. Maybe it's a good time for some of us to address that, maybe by seeking therapy in some way, seeking some kind of healing dualities. It's a great time for that. It's a great time to dig into our dream interpretations. And it's also, like I said, a great time to look financially deeper into these things. And what do we need? Is there things that we could sell or get rid of in order to free up more financial money, to free up our time? Maybe there's sacrifices we can make so we don't have to work a full-time job, so that we can give more time to our creative projects, which are going to become so important in the next few months as that node moves to the very anaretic degrees of Gemini and Sag. And we have this full moon eclipse coming up in Taurus, and I just want to remind everybody that Taurus does rule the throat chakra, and it is in the second and third decans of this Taurus energy that we're dealing with between the eclipse and where Uranus is located. Now, the second decan of Taurus is Virgo. So again, mundane astrology, the things that are taking place now is quite literally changes for the way that we serve others. So you're looking at these changes with the police. You're looking at these mandates affecting, the medical service-oriented things, pilots, these are all people that, and even the military is ruled by Virgo. So you're looking at people, massive amounts of the collective that are going through these changes and having to confront these fears of whether, if I don't want to get a vaccine, is this worth losing my job or losing my career, or all these years of college and the investments that I put into them? These are not easy decisions. And that's where we can kind of trust these eclipses to come through and change our momentum towards our destiny. And so Venus in Sag, Mercury is going to be moving through Sag. Eventually the sun is going to catch up and move through Sag at the end of the month, closer to this transit. And Taurus also rules the throat chakra. And there's a need for expressing our self-worth here. What are our priorities? What are our values? We're going to begin to associate strongly with some very literal hopes and values that we have. What do we want that new life to look like? What do we want these new structures that we're creating to look like? And it has to be more authentic and of ourselves. Jupiter is going to demand this at the end of Aquarius. There's no more masking things. Quite literally, there's no more masking what we want and what we desire. It's just simply this energy is too big within us for it to be ignored. So it's a really beautiful time for us to assess what really matters to us. Take ownership of the things that we truly want and desire, and to let go of the rest. Now, this month is a lot about compromise. We're going to have to find the compromise. If you are in any kind of a Scorpio energy in which you can't accept a loss in some way, because Mars is going to move into that area in Scorpio, it's going to trigger our egos a lot. And again, I'm going back to those two different forms of that Scorpio energy. If we don't get our way, we could be very vindictive. We can become very manipulative. We're going to feel this need to control situations. This comes from a deep-seated, deep-rooted need to be in control so that we don't have to confront the unknown. The other side of Scorpio is if you let go, oftentimes the things we fear, we're never really worthy of it to begin with. So we have to allow these transformations to take place. We have to allow the dying off in order for the new growth to emerge later. That's ultimately the theme this month, guys. It's a heavy, intense month, but it's a great pause, and it's a great time to assess where we are, what we want, and how to move towards that in a better way. So in a lot of ways, you can make so much of a leap forward this month by confronting all of that inner stuff that blocks us. All right, guys, I do hope you have an amazing November. I hope you enjoy your November readings, and I'll be seeing you shortly. Take care. Bye. Hello, Libra. Welcome to 8 of Cups Tarot, and welcome to your cards for November. Really fantastic reading here. One of the things that I wanted to touch upon before I get into the cards was kind of the Plutonian energy, which takes on a whole new level of intensity during Scorpio season. And Scorpio being in your second house, there is an intense realization on long-term goals. And that's what I see playing out in these cards. There's an opportunity here to harness this Plutonian energy and to create and transform and to conquer some of the inner demons that we're dealing with during the Scorpio season. Now, that's going to play out differently for everybody, but the idea is now is the opportunity to take your power back. Now, you've had a lengthy Mercury retrograde in your sign, and this month Mercury starts to make forward movement. He comes out of his shadow and starts to make new territory into that Scorpio energy in your second house. There is going to be an emphasis on the things that you own, on your resources and your self-worth, and this is a tremendously important transit for you. These are where big life decisions are made, and there's an opportunity for you to really gain some traction in the long-term goals and achievements that you want in the next several years. So looking here, you come out as a King of Wands, and I love that energy because it's so powerful. And that's what I see as Libra stepping into this very powerful phase in their life. There's a lot of determination, there's courage, there's tenacity, and also this particular card, because he's kind of holding and playing this drum, there's an idea that you're kind of going to the beat of your own drum. You have the power to hold your authenticity, the goals that you have, the things that you want, the things that you want to achieve. They're not other people's stories anymore. They're solely belong to you. They're your soul's yearning. And it's very much regardless of outside circumstances. And what I do love is that the environment for you this month is the Temperance card. And she is all about divine timing. And there's an idea of patience as you kind of go through these changes. And the universe is kind of working with you. Meanwhile, putting things on hold, allowing you to make better, smarter decisions. And literally the universe having a little bit more patience with you as you go through some of these changes. Now, what I'm really honing in here is this Five of Cups in reverse and this Death card. See, the thing is, Libra, you've been through this phase of immense change and growth. That's what this is about. The Five of Cups is an energy of regret, remorse, shame, guilt, kind of focusing on the things that were lost or the things that didn't work out. But because it comes out in reverse, and I think you might be one of the only signs that got one of these cards in reverse. Almost all the signs, even though I put reversals in the deck, came out, they came out upright. I'm not seeing this. Like, if I had to guess, this is an ideal energy. I would much rather see the Five of Cups in reverse because it means that you're growing out of this. Now, Libra, you're known to give a lot of power away because you're so concerned with other people in your lives, with how they think, how they'll be affected by your decisions. And again, we're in a phase of taking our power back, and you're coming out of this energy. If there was any kind of healing that needed to be done, this retrograde Mercury period probably allowed you to put things in a different perspective so you could see clearly your blockages were kind of your own pain, your own guilt, your own suffering. And when we start to realize that it's not other people's stuff, it clearly belongs to us, then we have the power to heal it. We have the power to forgive. We have the power to forgive ourselves. We have the power to forgive other people. And we take our power back when we realize that those things can no longer affect us, which is why it's followed up by one of my very favorite cards in the deck, which is the Death card. And this was you taking your power back by transforming that energy. The Death card, representing that Scorpio energy, is so important when you're going through a second house transit, because this is when you start to wake up and you start to realize that life is going to be exactly what you want it to be. And it involves the small decisions, the small investments, as well as the big ones. And when I see a Death card come out, I realize that there's a complete transformation happening in your life, major changes occurring. And I think they're welcomed. Now, what I love is this card number 50, spiral, breaking down to a 5 right here under the 5. And the spiral card kind of represents that change as well. And if we think about it, there's an idea of like interconnectedness. Why did all of these things happen? Why did we have these disappointments and these losses? And the spiral kind of goes both ways. You could find yourself spiraling down at times, regressing within your healing journey. And then other times we move upwards in the spiral, meaning we gain more perspective and we allow ourselves to heal these things. So the spiral is in your control. You get to choose, are you spiraling down or are you spiraling up this month? And I think all the perspective that you gain through retrograde Mercury is helping you to realize where you want to go, the direction that you want to go in. And because we have this card here, Uluro, I'm sure I'm not pronouncing that right. I have power and it is real. I create my destiny. I carry the greatness of my ancestors in my body and soul. Now, there's always a reminder, any Libras that are kind of going through any sense of loneliness. We have a Capricorn card here, which does Saturn can kind of give this feeling of isolation and loneliness, but I feel like it's empowering for you. Because Libra, you're learning how to make decisions and live life on your own terms, regardless of what other people want or expect from you. And that is a really powerful place to be. And I see this Capricorn card here, card number 22, which is a very divine number, much like the Temperance card, Capricorn, and it literally says, I use. It's very important in this second house transit for you to use the past to empower you, not to disempower you, but to empower you. You can look at the past and say, okay, I know these things didn't work. These things have to change. And the Capricorn card is all about that drive and that ambition and that tenacity to make life into what you want it to be. And it's not really about other people right now. It's about you. It's about strengthening your core self. And once you get that done, once you start to really feel this empowerment, then people that are on that particular vibration will start to come towards you. Now, I say that because we have this Ace of Cups right here in the outcome. So believe me when I tell you that the magic is occurring right now. And at times you might feel isolated, you might feel lonely, you might feel like you have to make some really difficult decisions. You might even feel like they are kind of sacrifices to the things or the way that you've always lived before, but they are in the name of empowerment, and they're so important. Now, right above this Capricorn card, we have this Ace of Wands in reverse. And I'm looking at this and I'm thinking, well, there's almost like a holding back. The Ace of Wands is an opportunity, a passion, an encounter of some sort or an opportunity, but it may not feel like it's great long term. It's something that feels great in the moment, which the King of Wands is and will always be strong enough to know the difference between in the moment and what's good for the long term. The Knight of Wands might struggle with that, but you being the King of Wands, being in control of your destiny, you know that there's always going to be these things that are kind of set in your path, right? Like these temptations or these quick moments where you could just enjoy life and let go, maybe give in into some kind of temptation. But I think Libra this month is asking themselves, is this for the greater good of my future? And there might be some things that you are rejecting at this time because you know they don't fit the picture of what you want your future to look like. There might be some sacrifices that you have to make as far as, maybe it's wanting to make a purchase or purchasing something big or taking a big vacation, but really you're taking a look at it and you're like, yeah, but that's going to set me back this year. So I know maybe I'd rather save that money, or I don't want to make this investment right now. Maybe, it's farther down in that temptation. Maybe there's a temptation to have fun and let go of responsibilities. And yet the Capricorn is a reminder that you are currently building the foundation for a future. And that foundation is so important that it becomes quite simple to reject these more impulsive things in our lives. Now, what I love is that we have the Hierophant coming out, and he's one of my favorite cards. He's one of my favorite personalities. This is my favorite card because it means your higher being, your inner guru kind of, is talking to you. However, in this position, it may be a little bit irritating at this time. There may be a need, or the universe is pushing you to take a more traditional or conservative route in some way, which is really going against the path you thought you were on to begin with. Now, I can only equate this to, again, I'm going to go back to like the owning, the second house stuff, the financial stuff. Maybe you set a goal that you wanted to release something, or you wanted to get, because you ultimately want your freedom. But things don't quite work out that way. And it could be frustrating, right? We're reintroducing the Saturn-Uranus square in our charts. We're all going through this. Things aren't going to necessarily go our way. And it could be frustrating. And yet the inner guru in you is saying, yes, but this is perfect for right now. If you are hitting obstacles, if there's a rejection of some sort, it is for your greater good. And I always have to say, when this Ace of Wands comes out in reverse, it is a reminder that rejection is God's protection. What isn't working out for you wasn't meant for you anyways. And that's simply because you are changing. You're changing at such a vibrational level that the things you thought you want no longer resonate with you. This is happening for all of us as we go through these intense transformative processes. And remember, the Death card ruled by Scorpio. Scorpio's season is going to be an intense transformative process for all of us. And there might be things that we thought we wanted to do, or things that we would normally do, or behavior that we would normally accept, and suddenly it just doesn't feel right. And this is where you have to trust and have faith, Hierophant, that this is all working out in your favor, regardless of how it feels in the moment. And there's definitely an emphasis here on having to make long-term good decisions in lieu of the quick, faster, good feeling things that we could bring into our lives. Bottom of the deck is this Three of Pentacles. And I like him with this Hierophant energy because this is about building the foundations. Like I said, building strong foundations somewhere. And there's no doubt that you are clearly working on building a foundation. When we have the Capricorn energy, we have this mountain card showing up, which is a reminder that you are climbing a mountain right now. Your goal is lofty. What you want, what you desire, the next phase of life for you is something much different than what you've experienced so far. And this foundation is so important, and the universe is allowing you to kind of figure all of this out on your own, in your own time, in your own way, so that you could feel and understand the importance of this Three of Pentacles. Now, the Three of Pentacles is also a card of collaboration and allowing other people in. And it's a reminder that no man is an island kind of a situation. And especially like we're talking about this Capricorn card, this isolation. And some of you might feel like there's some stuff you have to go through and you're like completely on your own. But I'm guessing that in all reality, you are not. I'm guessing that in all reality, other people are involved. And the thing is, you being the King of Wands, you coming out in this kind of energy where you're going to do what's right for you, what's right for your life. And the people that support that are the ones that are meant to be a part of this foundation. And the people that have a lot of opinions, you know, especially if we're talking finance, like what you should do with your money or how you should spend it or what your investments should look like, those people probably aren't who you want to invite, who you want to build upon with these relationships. There's a very careful energy here. There's definitely a feeling that Libra is making some very long-term intelligent decisions, and therefore you really have to start to question the people that are giving you advice. Underneath this Hierophant card, we have this card number 64 breaking down to a 10, and it's Woodwives, adaptability. And this again is a card that represents the roots. Here we have a foundation. Here we have the roots that go underneath the foundation, and it's a reminder to be adaptable. And underneath that, we have card number 6, compromise. And I think you have to be open to changes, okay? One of the things that we can do when we're kind of sitting in this Capricorn energy is we could start to really look at life as very rigid, And again, the Hierophant can represent very rigid energy. No, it has to be this way. It has to go this way. Here's a sense of needing to control the situation. And this is a reminder that having immense control in a period when you are in transformation isn't always the best. Because I think the universe is going to inspire you. I think they're going to send you messages, and you have to be able to kind of follow this intuition or follow this inspiration in some way. And I love this energy because it means that deep down, it's kind of this feeling that there's movement. There's different ways to do things. It doesn't have to be exactly how you thought it had to be. And I think that's a welcome change, because the way that you thought it had to go probably felt heavily disciplined, no fun. This is entering a phase of like hard work. And to you, that felt like a sacrifice. And this is a reminder that when you are building strong foundations, it doesn't necessarily mean that things have to be unenjoyable. That life can absolutely be enjoyable, that magic can still happen. And certainly with this Ace of Cups as your outcome, there is an emotional situation. There's an emotional culmination that is a gift for your hard work. There's a gift for these foundations that you're laying. There's a gift for the sacrifices that you're taking. And that even if you have to make the hard decisions, the joy and the gratefulness and even, yes, the love is bound to follow. Now, I kind of want to read this Woodwives to you, this card number 64, because it's sometimes easier for me to read it than for me to explain it. The Woodwives dance into your dreams as a reminder to be grounded no matter what life offers you. You need to know who you are, what you'll tolerate, and what you've learned to date, and what boundaries to set so you feel good about yourself. Life is going to offer you something extraordinary now. And in order to learn and receive its blessings, you must remember that being grounded gives you more freedom and not less. You have everything you need. You have all it takes to do this right now. If you also keep reminding yourself to be flexible, you will be amazed by how well things play out for you. The Woodwives are both wisdom keepers and students of the new world. As these forest spirits have an uncanny ability to adapt to changing circumstances and always find the perfect way to grow and expand. They represent what you already know how to do. So as you can see, there's a groundedness within the adaptability. And then we have this Ace of Cups. And the Ace of Cups is always this emotional reward that we get for the hard work and the sacrifices and the foundations that we're building. And it's the universe's way to confirm that you are on your way, that you are on the right track. And it's important to truly embrace people in your life that are really supportive of you. And I'm not talking about the people that have something to get from you. I'm talking about the people that truly want the best for you, Libra. I'm talking about the supportive people in your life that do not make decisions for you based on what's right or wrong or how it serves them, but the people that just truly want to see you happy and thriving. And those are the people that are entering this new phase with you. And again, there's going to be some boundaries that you have to make as far as people in your lives, because we have to let go. And that's what Scorpio season is all about. We have to let go to some of those unhealthy habits, to some of those unhealthy relationships or partnerships or environments that we're in order to grow the things that are truly a part of our future now. And this Horseman, Herald of Change, card number 30, is another reminder that this change is for your greater good. a Hierophant. And it's an omen that there is good news and good opportunities coming. So when you take a look, if you experience throughout the month this Ace of Wands in reverse, this rejection, these obstacles, things not working out the way you thought they would, this is a gift from the universe, kind of like a divine detour, because in the detour there is presence the universe wants to give you. There are people the universe wants to place in your life, opportunities that they want you to experience. And you have to make sure that you're looking at the more positive part of life. Like I said, it's really a duality this month between being responsible, doing the right thing, forming those boundaries, but also allowing your soul to grow and invite the beautiful things into it, the beautiful relationships and the beautiful support that you get from your people and your friends. Oftentimes I see the Ace of Cups as just growing and nurturing love in our lives, and that can come from anything from our pets, our children, our parents, our friends, or a new love coming into your life. But directly underneath that Ace of Cups is a herald of change and good news and positive change in your life. This is a Temperance card, the universe saying, okay, you've done this work, you've made these sacrifices, here is your gift. And the universe is letting you know that you are exactly where you need to be, experiencing exactly what you need to experience at this time, and you are going to be rewarded for it. And not only that, but the things that are entering your life now, any new commitments that you're making to yourself or to anyone else, are built on a much stronger foundation, which represents who you are now and not who you were in the past, or the reasons why you made the commitments in the past. It's very different because we have this rebirth energy in your cards here. You have changed, and therefore what you've attracted meets you at this level right now, and therefore it supports you. It highlights all of the things that you learned, and it's exactly what you need. This is a beautiful reading, Libra. There's definitely growth and expansion, leaps and bounds here, as long as you are able to stay flexible and open, okay? And remember to keep an eye on those long-term, long-range goals. How does this fit the bigger picture? Are these people I want in my life 20 years from now? Okay, are these the places or events that I want in my life 20 years from now? You kind of have to look at it in long-term goals. And how does it kind of mirror who you are now? All right, Libra, I hope that you have a wonderful November. I will talk to you very soon. Take care. Bye.